You ever have that feeling? You spend hours and hours writing the most perfect detailed notes, but come exam time, it's like you've never seen this stuff before? It's a classic struggle. And here's a secret. 90% of students are actually taking notes in a way that hurts their grades. So today, we're going to break down the science of how to make notes that actually work, turning them from a boring chore into your most powerful tool for success. Let's get into it. To really get this, picture two students. Over on the left, we have the artist. You know the type. Their notebook is a masterpiece. Perfect headings, a rainbow of highlighters, flawless diagrams. It looks incredible. But then on the right, we've got the strategist. And their notes? Well, they're kind of boring, honestly. Just a couple of pens, simple writing, all about getting the information down fast.
So looking at these two, who do you think gets the better grades? The student with the beautiful, Instagram-worthy notes, or the one with the simple, maybe even messy ones? Take a guess. And here's the shocker. 90% of the time, it's the strategist who gets the top marks. But why? How is that even possible? Well, it's pretty simple. While the artist spends an hour or two making their notes look pretty, the strategist uses that exact same time to actually revise their notes. See, the goal isn't a beautiful notebook. The goal is to remember what's inside it. And that changes everything. This right here is what I call the great note-taking trap. Most of us are taught to just copy what the teacher says, basically rewriting the textbook by hand. But that's not learning, that's just transcription. Real learning, the kind that sticks, happens when you actually engage with the material. And for that, you need a better system. So what's the solution? It's something called the two-note system. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful idea. You just split your note-taking into two separate stages. First, you've got long notes, which are all about capturing information in class. And then you have short notes, which are designed for one thing and one thing only: fast, effective revision. Let's break down how to do both. Okay, first up, your long notes. These are your everyday, in-the-moment notes you take during a lecture or a class. The goal here is absolutely not beauty. It's all about speed and function. So let's go over 5 super simple rules to make them work for you. Here we go. 5 rules. 1. On the very first page of your notebook, write your big goal. Seriously, seeing get 95% or crack neat every single day is a huge motivator. 2. Keep it simple. Ditch the iPad, ditch the 10 different colored pens. A pen, paper, and maybe one other color for emphasis is all you need. 3. Make up your own shortcuts. Use things like BCs for because. This helps you keep up when the teacher is talking fast. 4. This is a big one. When your teacher says this is important, you better star it, circle it, do something to make it stand out. And 5. Always leave 3 blank pages after every chapter. Trust me, you'll always find something you need to add later. Now, for subjects like math, physics, or chemistry, formulas are king, right? But how do you actually make them stick in your brain? Well, this is where a cool little trick called the double tick method comes in. It's a simple, science-backed way to lock those formulas into your long-term memory. Here's how easy it is. First, anytime you write down a formula, like V equals IR, just draw a box around it. This makes it pop off the page. The first time you actually learn and understand it, put a single check mark next to the box. Then, a few days later, when you revise that chapter, go back to that formula, review it, and add a second check mark. That's it. So, why does this simple thing work so well? Well, it's all about how your brain works. Cognitive science tells us that when you actively recall something twice, with a bit of a gap in between, you're basically telling your brain, hey, this is important. And that's often all it takes to move it from your fragile short-term memory to your much more stable long-term memory. Those 2 little ticks are basically your brain's save button. Okay, so you've made your super efficient long notes. Now, there's one last step in this phase, and it happens during your first revision session. Go through your notes with a highlighter or a pen and just underline the most critical stuff: the key definitions, the main concepts, the absolute must-know keywords. This simple step is the bridge that leads to your ultimate study weapon, your short notes. And that brings us to short notes. This is where the real magic happens, especially for those heavy theory subjects like biology or history. The goal here is simple but ambitious. Distill an entire chapter down to a single page. This becomes your secret weapon for that last-minute cram session before the exam. So where do you start? Well, the great news is you've already done the hard part. Your short notes are built only from the things you already underlined and highlighted in your long notes. You don't have to reread the whole chapter again. You're just pulling out the absolute best parts, the gold. But let's say you're struggling to figure out what's important. Everything seems important, right?
Just use the WWH strategy. For any topic, ask yourself 3 simple questions. What is it? That's your definition. Why does it happen? That's the core reason. And how does it work? These are your key examples. If you can answer those 3, you've found what you need for your short notes.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. How in the world am I supposed to fit a 20-page chapter onto a single sheet of paper? The answer is a really simple layout trick called the split page method.
Here's exactly how you do it. Just take a page and draw 2 lines down to split it into 3 columns. It's that simple. In that first column, you put your what, the key definitions. In the middle column, your why, the core reasons and keywords. And in that last column, your how, the crucial examples and processes. This layout lets you pack a ton of information onto one page you can scan super quickly. But the real magic of short notes is all psychological. Think about it. When you're facing a huge 200-page notebook the day before an exam, your brain just shuts down. It looks at that massive pile and says, no way. It's overwhelming. But when you're looking at just 12 single-page summaries, your brain thinks, oh, I can totally do this. You get rid of the overwhelm, and that's half the battle right there. So at the end of the day, it's time to stop thinking of your notebook as a canvas. It's not a piece of art, it's a tool that's designed for one single purpose, to help you learn, remember, and absolutely crush your exams. So you have to ask yourself, are your notes just an art project, or are they the tool that's going to build your success?